Αγαπητοί τηλεθεατές, καλησπέρα σας. Για μία ακόμη Παρασκευή, η εκπομπή «ΟΜΟΓΕΝΕΙΑ ΕΔΩ ΛΟΝΔΙΝΟ» θα σας παρουσιάσει τις εκδηλώσεις που πραγματοποιήθηκαν στην Ομογένεια του Λονδίνου. Να σας υπενθυμίσουμε ότι την εκπομπή μας, αλλά και τις υπόλοιπες παραγωγές του HELLENIC TV, μπορείτε να τις παρακολουθήσετε από το κανάλι 225 στα Freeview, αλλά και διαδικτυακά. Επίσης, μπορείτε να παρακολουθείτε το πρόγραμμά μας από το Rockbox, που μπορείτε να το προμηθευτείτε από τα γραφεία της ΣΥΤΑ UK στο Southgate. Με αυτόν τον τρόπο μπορείτε να βλέπετε το HELLENIC TV 1 και ολόκληρη την πλατφόρμα του, που περιλαμβάνει 14 ελληνικά κανάλια από Ελλάδα και Κύπρο και νέες κινηματογραφικές παραγωγές. Περισσότερες πληροφορίες σχετικά με τα προγράμματα του HELLENIC TV μπορείτε να βρείτε στην ιστοσελίδα μας www.hellenictv.net, ενώ για τον τρόπο με τον οποίο μπορείτε να παρακολουθείτε ολόκληρη την πλατφόρμα του HELLENIC TV στις τηλεοράσεις σας, στην ιστοσελίδα www.hellenictv.co.uk. Για περισσότερες πληροφορίες σχετικά με το πρόγραμμά μας ή για την προβολή των εκδηλώσεών σας και της επιχείρησής σας, επικοινωνήστε μαζί μας στο τηλέφωνο 020 8292 7037 ή στην ηλεκτρονική μας διεύθυνση info@hellenictv.net. Στο απόψινό μας πρόγραμμα θα παρακολουθήσετε αποσπάσματα από την ομιλία του Προέδρου της Κυπριακής Δημοκρατίας κ. Νίκου Αναστασιάδη, που πραγματοποιήθηκε στο Πανεπιστήμιο LSE, το μνημόσυνο των αγνοουμένων της Κύπρου, που πραγματοποιήθηκε στον Ιερό Ναό της Παναγίας στο Wood Green, καθώς και την κόπη της Βασιλόπιτας, που πραγματοποιήθηκε στο χολ της κοινότητας του Αποστόλου Βαρνάβα. Τέλος, μια μικρή συνέντευξη που έδωσε στο συνεργάτη μας Βασίλη Παναγή, ο πρόεδρος της ΟΕΣΕΚΑ, Ανδρέας Χειμώνας, καθώς και την κοπή της Βασιλόπιτας του Συνδέσμου Κυπρίων Γυναικών, που πραγματοποιήθηκε την Κυριακή 19 Ιανουαρίου στο Κυπριακό Κοινοτικό Κέντρο. Ας περάσουμε στο πρώτο μας θέμα, που είναι η επίσημη επίσκεψη του Προέδρου της Κυπριακής Δημοκρατίας Νίκου Αναστασιάδη στο Λονδίνο. Ο κύριος Αναστασιάδης είχε επίσημες συναντήσεις με τον Πρωθυπουργό της Αγγλίας Mr. τον Υπουργό Ενέργειας της Αγγλίας Mr. και άλλα κυβερνητικά μέλη. Μέσα στις δραστηριότητες του Προέδρου ήταν και οι ομιλίες που έκανε στα Βρετανικά πανεπιστήμια UCL και LSE. Η κάμερα του HELLENIC TV και ο συνεργάτης μας Μιχάλης Μιτακίδης παρευρέθηκε στην ομιλία του Προέδρου Αναστασιάδη με τίτλο «The True Story about the Geopolitical Role of Cyprus, David or Goliath». Εμείς θα περάσουμε να παρακολουθήσουμε τη θερμή υποδοχή που επιφύλαξαν παράγοντες του Πανεπιστημίου και παρουσίασαν την προσωπικότητα του Προέδρου, αλλά και το θέμα που ανέπτυξε. Ας παρακολουθήσουμε τους δύο πρώτους ομιλητές.
Well, you're a very polite audience. As soon as we come in, you're ready for us to begin, so thank you. Archbishop, my lords, your excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this evening's lecture, which is hosted by the school's Hellenic Observatory. Over the years, we've been pleased to welcome many senior political and public figures. We've hosted prime ministers, foreign ministers, finance ministers, and many other leading public figures. Overwhelmingly, they've been from Greece. We have, however, been pleased to host a number of ministers from Cyprus. And of course, the school has been very pleased to call Cyprus's first Nobel Prize winner one of its own. As it were, we have the London School of Economics has nationalised Professor Chris Pisarides, I think. But this is the first time that we've had a lecture from a president of Cyprus. And we're delighted to welcome Mr. Nikos Anastasiadis this evening. In fact, we're welcoming him back to the school because he first came to speak here in November 2012, when he was still in opposition. Far be it from me to suggest that giving a lecture at the London School of Economics whilst in opposition contributed somehow to his election as President of the Republic of Cyprus. I should explain the London School of Economics does not do self-effacing modesty. But the President has had a long and distinguished public career. He studied public law he studied maritime law in London, and he has practiced law since 1972. He became leader of the Democratic Rally Party in 1997, and he was elected President of Cyprus almost a year ago now. The President is making an important visit to London, and I'm pleased to note that he's accompanied this evening by several senior members of his administration. I'm delighted to welcome the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Finance, and the Minister of Commerce with us this evening, as well as other senior members of the government. Now, Cyprus is important to the school, and it's important to the Hellenic Observatory. We've developed a strong research program on Cyprus. We've hosted a number of distinguished fellows, and we've organised a number of successful public events on Cyprus. And we look forward to sustaining this interest as life in the Eastern Mediterranean continues to be of importance to the international community. This evening, of course, is our biggest ever event on Cyprus. And let me take this opportunity of thanking on your behalf all of those colleagues across the school who have contributed to organising tonight's events. It is, as you can see, a large lecture. We could have filled the lecture seats, I'm sure, twice at least. The lectures attracted a lot of interest. So many colleagues across the school have helped with the organisation, but none more so than my colleagues in the Hellenic Observatory, Epismini and Polly. I would like on your behalf to thank all of those colleagues who contributed to organising tonight's event. Now, Cyprus is going through an important transition at present, of course. As a small island in a difficult neighbourhood, and perhaps as a former British colony, it has long seemed to have an excess of troubles. The division of the island remains a tragedy. More recently, the euro crisis has hit Cyprus very hard. Beyond these matters, there is now, of course, a new agenda of the hydrocarbon deposits in the shores around the island. We look forward to the President addressing these issues in his talk this evening, and after the lecture there should be plenty of time for questions and answers. But the issues that the President is going to address this evening are also very important to Britain itself. The President, I think, has met our Prime Minister David Cameron this week, and I'm very pleased that, as you have seen just literally 30 seconds ago, we have with us now Britain's Minister for Europe, David Lidington. And before we begin the President's presentation, could I invite David to say a few words of welcome? David Lidington, Minister for Europe.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, Professor Featherstone, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a real pleasure to have been invited to say a few words alongside President Anastasiadis, who concludes what I think has been a pretty packed official visit to the United Kingdom tomorrow morning. And I'm going to keep my remarks brief because I know you're much more interested in what he has to say rather than what I have to say. But I do want to say thank you first of all to Professor Featherstone and to the Hellenic Observatory for organising this event. And judging by the size of the audience this evening, there is a real awareness here in London of the growing profile of Cyprus on both the European and international stage, and we look forward, Mr. President, to hearing your analysis on this important theme. And the President's visit is a sign of the enduring partnership between our two countries. The United Kingdom and Cyprus are two island countries at opposite ends of the European continent, but we share a history, but also we share values and we share interests. We share too the familiarity with our two countries of increasing numbers of our citizens. The thousands of British people who go to Cyprus, some so fall in love with the place that they stay on, and many more visit for holidays. And of course, we have the tremendous benefit in the United Kingdom of being home to a very large number of people of Cypriot origin, and also this is a place where many more young men and women from Cyprus come to pursue their studies. And Cyprus today has an important part to play in the prosperity and security of the entire Eastern Mediterranean. She is uniquely situated to perform a stabilising role in the region, and we're already cooperating closely on a number of key foreign policy issues important to us both. You don't need to be an expert in strategy to appreciate the significance of Cyprus's potential in what sadly looks as if it's going to continue to be a troubled and turbulent part of the world. A stable European democracy in a turbulent region. For example, Cyprus's support for the international community's efforts to destroy Syrian stocks of chemical weapons is just one example of the important role that Cyprus can play in promoting security in its own neighbourhood. And that's the point about sharing responsibility to confront our common challenges. Different countries contributing as and where they can, increasing their ambition as the world becomes more interconnected and more complex. And this is particularly relevant to the discovery of oil and gas finds in the Eastern Mediterranean, finds that have the potential to transform Cyprus and its region. Cooperation on energy exploitation can lead to greater prosperity and security for all, and to greater diversity in energy supplies to the whole of Europe. We certainly hope to work closely with Cyprus, and United Kingdom's businesses have a wealth of experience and expertise to offer in this exciting area. I've already mentioned values based on a shared history. The UK and Cyprus work together too to promote and export those shared values as fellow members of both the European Union and, of course, of the Commonwealth too. And we need to ensure that the European Union to which we both belong respects the diversity and the aspirations of each of its member states. And if I may say so, I know from conversations I have enjoyed with President Anastasiadis both before and since he came to his present office as head of state, that he is incredibly deeply committed to Cyprus's place as a European country, as a partner in not just European economic cooperation, but in the work of building European civilization. So we're all here because of our interest in Cyprus, and look forward, Mr. President, to your speech and the debate that it will be certain to stimulate. And I welcome your personal support to advancing the relationship not only between Cyprus and the United Kingdom, but between Cyprus and its wider neighbourhood, and to advancing Cyprus's place in the international community. Thank you very much.
Στη συνέχεια στο βήμα ανέβηκε ο πρόεδρος της Κυπριακής Δημοκρατίας Νίκος Αναστασιάδης και ανέπτυξε το θέμα με τίτλο «The True Story about the Geopolitical Role of Cyprus, David or Goliath». Εδώ να σας αναφέρουμε ότι η ολόκληρη αίθουσα του Πανεπιστημίου LSE ήταν κατάμεστη και οι παρευρισκόμενοι του επιφύλαξαν θερμή υποδοχή. Εμείς θα παρακολουθήσουμε ένα μικρό απόσπασμα από την ομιλία του Προέδρου.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it is indeed my honor and pleasure to be here today addressing such a distinguished audience in the prestigious academic institution of London School of Economics. I last addressed LSE in November 2012 in my capacity as the president of the Democratic Rally and the candidate for the presidency of the Republic of Cyprus. And today, I stand before you in my capacity as the elected president. Leaving the United Kingdom in late 60s, or early 70s, I was a confident young man who was returning back to Cyprus, full of dreams, and ready to follow the advice of the Beatles to the literally follow the sun. But little did I know. I guess, as Oscar Wilde once said, I was not young enough to know everything. Well, I am not getting any younger, and I am not fighting time, despite the fact that my hair is a proof that sometimes we can win the battle against time. But experience gained through, no, I'm not coloring them. But experience gained through my life as a Cypriot politician has made me wise. Experience gives me the right to speak and to tell the truth about the constant fight of Cyprus to keep the sun shining over Cyprus. I promise to tell all about the role of Cyprus in the international scene, as well as of my vision of the geopolitical role that Cyprus can undertake. I will be honest about the challenges we face, but I will be also optimistic about the future that lies ahead for Cyprus, a country small in size, just like David, but big in potential. And as the story of David and Goliath teaches us, power is not always measured in size. Power is not always a privilege of the big. The fact that the relevant parameters that determine power in the international arena are the economic, military, diplomatic means and natural sources of a state, means that even states small in size, which fulfill some of the above-mentioned characteristics, can achieve peace, stability, their people's prosperity, and assume an important geopolitical role. Distinguished friends, there are some basic elements that come to mind when we think about Cyprus, an island state in Eastern Mediterranean, a crossing point between Europe, Asia, and Africa, a geographic location eagerly sought after, and which resulted to Cyprus throughout its history, albeit some brief time periods, being under the control of various conquerors. A member state of the European Union at its southeastern corner, and country affected so many times by its historically turbulent neighborhood. A country recently blessed, together with its neighbors, with the discovery of hydrocarbons, but, and sadly, the last divided EU country. The acknowledgement of these attributes and the variability of some of them make one realize the dynamics linked to the geostrategic location of Cyprus, and that the geopolitical role of Cyprus is a dynamic process, the evolution of which depends not only to its geographic location, but mainly on the volatility on the environment in which it operates. In this regard, the geopolitical role that a country can assume is closely related to its foreign policy orientations and objectives, including the ways and means of implementing them. Hence, it should be of no surprise that one of the main goals of my government for the last 11 months has been the conscious reorientation of the foreign policy of Cyprus based on a comprehensive and extrovert approach that aims at, first and foremost, reaching a solution to the Cyprus problem, which could prove of immense benefit not only to Cypriots, but also to regional stability. Second, safeguarding the exploitation of our natural wealth and the consequential eternal and regional economic and political benefits. Third, enhancing our participation in all EU pillars and policies, including becoming an integral part of the European security system and establishing a credible presence and cooperation with the European Union member states. Fourth, actively contributing to building and promoting peace and security in our immediate region of Eastern Mediterranean, while at the same time deepening our bilateral relations with neighboring countries of the region. And fifth, upgrading our bilateral relations with the United Kingdom, United States, and Israel without negatively affecting the already deep-rooted relations with other countries, so as to create a grid of alliances in support of our foreign policies and economic goals. In order for the above to be implemented, there should be clarity and no deviation from our end objectives, so as to firmly establish our credibility as a reliable partner to the international community and all old and new friends alike, both in terms of perceptions and implementations of actions.
Εδώ να σας αναφέρουμε ότι ολόκληρη την ομιλία του Προέδρου θα την παρακολουθήσετε προσεχώς στην εκπομπή με το φακό του HELLENIC TV.